Now, in order to understand excretory system in better way in humans, we need to see what are the organs which are associated with the excretory system in humans. So, basically we deal with the mechanism of excretion, that is throwing out the waste that is being formed in our body, primary waste being urea that has to be thrown out of the body, and you must be knowing that urea cannot be thrown out directly, it needs to be present in its very dilute form. So, basically we have to deal with the formation of urine inside the human beings, and what are the organs associated with urine formation in human beings, we need to see that. So, first of all, it is a pair of kidneys which is the main organ where entire formation of urine takes place. That means there would be some functional aspect of kidney, there would be some part of kidney which would be specialized in the formation of urine. So, we have a pair of kidneys which is the main organ. Then these kidneys, they throw their waste material or whatever product they have formed as a result of the filtration which takes place inside the organ, that would be thrown in the pair of ureters. Ureter is a tube-like structure which carries the urine from kidney to the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder is a structure which basically stores the urine for some time, and when the signal from the brain comes, because it is neuroendocrine system also plays a very important role in excretion mechanism. So, urinary bladder is under the direct control of brain and nervous system, so that whatever time is suitable and wherever the urinary bladder has achieved a certain concentration inside it, then it would be subtended and the process of micturition would take place, and there would be a passage that from where the urine would be thrown out, that would be known as urethra. So, these are the four basic organs, and of course we need to consider, because this entire process is of filtration and blood being the main connective tissue which carries out this entire process from which the waste material has to be taken, extracted. So, we have renal artery and vein also which are important for the entire process of excretion in human beings. Now, talking about a pair of kidneys, as you can see, this is a rough representation, or you can say representation of the human system, very vague one, but for understanding purpose, what you see over here, here is a renal vein, there is a renal artery. This is the pair of kidneys. It looks like kidney beans that we consume, that is why their name is kidney beans. So, this kidney, it is an organ with all the four tissues which we talk about, and it is somewhat muscular, you can say. On the top of each kidney there lies an adrenal gland. So, adrenal gland pair is also present. This adrenal gland, please remember it from now, that it would be responsible for release of some particular hormones which would play an important role in regulating the mechanism of urine formation and its release, and we have adrenal glands over here. Now, as you can see, this is the renal vein and renal artery. These are going to carry the blood into each kidney. Okay, this is renal vein, this is renal artery. Now, as you can see, these are both kidneys, pair of kidneys. Okay. This particular thing that is arising, tube-like structure that is arising from each of the kidneys is the ureter. I could have used it over here as well, just in order to make you understand that this tube-like structure is ureter. It opens up into urinary bladder, which is provided with substantial epithelium so that it can go and undertake large contractions and relaxations, and the last opening is urethra. Okay. This is the main understanding of the excretory system, the organs basically what we have to deal with. Now, coming to each kidney, when we talk about, you see this kidney is the functional unit or the functional organ, not unit, it is the functional organ of this excretory system, and the functional unit of kidney is a nephron. Okay, functional unit of entire excretory system where this filtration takes place, ultrafiltration, and the formation of urine takes place. Whatever is present in blood would be taken back, and whatever is not required in the blood, that would be given out of the body. That particular unit is nephron. Okay. So our kidneys would be rich in nephrons. So for that we need to see, because kidney is having a lot of tissue inside it, we need to see a longitudinal section of kidney. So when we see longitudinal section, supposedly this is a kidney and I cut it like this and then observe, that would be a longitudinal section. For a better understanding, you can use an example of, you have kidney beans in your hand, you can break them apart into two parts as it is a dicot seed. So that half part you are observing it like this, so that would be the longitudinal section. We are seeing longitudinally a kidney. This particular part from where the veins, these arteries and veins, this artery, vein and the ureter enters, this particular region is called hilum. I would consider this kidney for representation because it would be better for you. See, this point of entry of the artery of the ureter, this particular point of entry, notch-like structure, it is known as hilum or hilus. This notch-like structure, please remember, once it has entered inside, this notch opens up into pelvis. Now what is pelvis? Pelvis is somewhat funnel-like structure. Okay, hilum opens up into, the opening is known as pelvis. These two things you have to remember. Now consider kidney as a whole. This kidney is surrounded by an outer covering known as renal capsule. Each kidney has an outer covering known as renal capsule. It would be present in this kidney as well as this kidney. So each kidney is surrounded by a renal capsule. Because it is an outer covering, so it would be epithelial tissue, of course. This renal capsule has inside the main kidney, and that kidney is again divided into two parts, outer being the cortex, that is renal cortex. Renal word is used for kidney, renal cortex, and the inner part is known as medulla. Okay. Simplest understanding that you get to know, that there is a notch-like structure which enables the entry of the ureters, the veins and arteries inside the kidney. That hilum, that notch-like structure opens up into a funnel-like structure known as pelvis, renal pelvis. The kidney is having a renal capsule inside which it is present. If the kidney is to be divided into two parts, the outer part is known as cortex and the inner part is known as medulla. Now seeing this, we are going to consider what is actually present inside the kidney and how it is present, how it is arranged, where are the nephrons located. So we have pyramid-like structures present over here like this. Okay, this is what a kidney looks like. Of course, for a better understanding, we will have video illustrations as well. But for now, in case you have to make a diagram, you have to understand it from diagrammatic point of view, please try and understand. This was the hilum, the notch from where entire entry was taking place. Now, it has opened up into a funnel-like structure and they are going into renal calyces. Okay. Now, a new term comes into being, that is the pelvis takes you to renal calyces. I am putting red, I am just marking the calyces as red. Okay, this funnel opens up into further structures known as renal calyx. Individual would be renal calyx and for plural we use calyces. Okay, so the pelvis opens into renal calyces. What is inside the renal calyces is this particular part, this pyramid-like structure is known as medullary pyramid. Because it is present in medulla, these are known as medullary pyramids, or the other word renal pyramids which are present. Okay, inside these renal pyramids there are extensions of the nephrons. This is what our kidney is having. Inside the medullary pyramids, you are going to find the nephrons, the loops of nephrons which would be present. What is a nephron? How does it work? We are going to consider it. But for now, you need to remember that the cortex and medulla are different parts of the kidney. Inside the medulla, we find the medulla has medullary pyramids, and in between each medullary pyramid, we have renal columns which are known as columns of Bertini. Okay, the other name for this is columns of Bertini, which separate each renal pyramid, that is medullary pyramid, from the other. So for now, you need to remember these things, that this is how a kidney looks like. This is what is a person going to see when longitudinal section of kidney would be in front of him or her. So I'm making you recall that first of all we get to know that there is a supply of blood inside the kidney through the renal vein and the renal artery. The renal vein and artery enter the kidney, and along with the ureter they enter the kidney from a notch known as hilum. This hilum opens up into a funnel like structure which is known as pelvis, renal pelvis. Each pelvis opens up into the medullary pyramid through these renal calyces, which are further joined to the medullary pyramids which are present in the part of kidney. And these medullary pyramids are present in the medulla region of the kidney, because kidney is divided into two regions, cortex and medulla, and this entire kidney is located inside a renal capsule, both the kidneys. Adrenal gland is present on top of each kidney, and this, whatever is being formed over here, as you can see. Now I tell you that this particular part is made up of functional unit of kidney, that whatever filtration is taking place, that has to take place inside the medullary pyramids. They throw their waste material into the pelvis, it gets into the calyces, it gets collected in the pelvis. From pelvis it is collected and thrown into the ureter, and the urine arrives into the urinary bladder from where it can be thrown out. So this is what we have to understand basically in the human excretory system, how the excretion has to take place. That will be covered in subsequent sections, but for now we simply need to understand that what is the understanding behind the longitudinal section of kidney, what are the basic organs which are involved in the excretory system of human beings. Thank you.